Patience, if I had a group of your friends here in this room and you weren't here, and I said, describe Patience, what do you think they'd say?
I talk a lot, and I cannot function like when I'm alone most of the time.
Hi, my name is Maeve Hofstadt, and I am a member of the admissions committee here at Harvard College. We get lots of questions about what applicants can expect when they are preparing for an alumni interview. So we're here today to show you a little bit of a mock interview between a student and a real live alumni interviewer, so you can get a sense of what that conversation looks like and the types of questions that alumni interviewers often ask. We're also going to run through some frequently asked questions and give you some tips and tricks on things to expect as you're preparing for your interview. To start, let's talk about who gets an interview. Our alumni interviews are assigned at the discretion of the admissions committee, based in part on availability of alumni in your local area. We have alums in all 50 states and all over the world helping us interview our applicant pool, but we don't have enough alums to interview every single applicant. Rest assured that your application is considered complete without an interview. If we do not have an alum in your area available to meet with you, your application is not going to be disadvantaged in our application process. It's important to know that you, as an applicant, don't need to take any initial steps to set up your alumni interview. An interviewer is assigned to you, so they are expected to make that first contact and reach out to you to set up that alumni interview. Many students are wondering what kind of information their alumni interviewer has about them, and really they only have three things. They only have your name, and they'll have your preferred name that's listed on your application materials. They have your name of your high school, and they have your contact information, so a phone number and an email address. We would say most alums tend to start with that email address, so make sure you're checking your email often to make sure you haven't missed a contact from an alumni volunteer. What your alumni interviewer doesn't have about you are any application materials. They only have your name, high school, and contact info. So they don't know what you've written about in your essays, they don't know what your recommendations say, they don't know your extracurricular interests. So they are looking to sit down and have a conversation and get to know you. You sort of are a blank slate. It's meant to be a conversation where you get to have a back and forth and share your interests and maybe ask some questions about them, the alumni interview themselves. But they don't know information about you, so don't come in thinking that they are already prejudging you or know everything about you. They are just excited to sit down and have maybe a 45-minute to an hour conversation with you and get to know who you are. Now, let's jump right in and look at a little model interview. Soyan is a real alumni interviewer located here in the Boston area, and Patience is a current undergraduate student. Today, they're going to give us a little bit of an example of how this conversation goes, the types of questions alumni interviewers often ask, and so you can get the flow of what an alumni interview might look like. Your own experience may look a little bit different, but this will give you a good sense of what this conversation normally might look like and how a conversation would normally flow.
Well, Patience, it's good to meet you in person.
Good to meet you too.
Where are you coming in from this afternoon?
Come from Zimbabwe.
Ah, Zimbabwe. Okay, that's much further afield than me. I live here in Harvard Square.
Very far.
Yeah,
Okay, that's so close.
Slightly easier for me than for you. Before we jump into the interview, I like to just get a few things out of the way right up front. First is that you should relax. I hope you'll find that this is not a stressful interview. I'm not going to quiz you on current events or anything like that. It's just a chance to get to know you as a person. Also, I don't have your application, so I don't know what you wrote your essays about. Don't feel like you can't talk about things that you've covered in your application. It won't be duplicative for me. And then finally, I'm going to take notes. And I know that some people get very nervous when they see folks taking notes. If I don't take notes, I'm going to forget a lot. So, nothing to be nervous about. I like to start our interviews just by asking, what are you looking for in your college experience?
So I'm looking for a college curriculum that is rigorous, but at the same time allows me to get to learn more. Like if I had to go to a college in Zimbabwe, if I decide maybe to study medicine, I'll only be able to take STEM classes. And if I decide to study something humanities related, I'm only taking humanities classes. But like a liberal arts college system allows me to get to learn each of those fields, which I think that a liberal arts education offers, and Harvard in specific will give me resources that will allow me to do something right after graduation.
I see. And do you have a sense for what you're looking to do after graduation, or is it still a pretty blank canvas for now?
I'm still kind of undecided, but I kind of know what I would like to study getting into college.
Okay, great. Tell me about your high school.
So I went to high school in Zimbabwe. It's a 2-year high school program, and I did math, physics, biology, and chemistry, and I took other electives that I didn't get tested on the final exam. So I did A-levels, and much of my high school was at home because of COVID-19. However, I did engage in some community service projects because we're learning at home. It's a bit difficult. We didn't get to compete for extracurricular activities, but it was just a time for me to learn to study on my own, to figure out what study methods worked without any like specific guidance from a teacher or a tutor.
Got it, okay. And as an international student, how do you think about potentially going very far away for college? Do you have siblings who have done that, or do you have friends who have made the journey far abroad?
So I'm actually a firstborn child, so
Okay.
none of my siblings have done that, but I have a couple of friends who have studied abroad. It's a very scary experience because I don't know what to expect, but at the same time, I'm just kind of excited. I think I'll be very excited if I get in just to experience new culture, meet new people. If I get to go in, it'll actually be my first time going to the United States. Yeah, I'm just excited to learn different things, but at the same time, I think that I'm definitely gonna miss home.
Sure, sure. Okay, great. Before you had mentioned community service, I'm sure you do a bunch of extracurriculars. Is there any one thing that you're most passionate about?
I'm passionate about social justice. So like during my remote learning, I did a project on domestic violence. So I had to do like focus groups with a couple of ladies in my community where I live in Redcliffe. It was a class project, so I had to take notes and do the project over about 4 weeks. So we would meet each week and discuss some of the causes of conflicts in households and how to sort that out. And most of the women I was talking to were talking about financial dependence being one of the reasons why they were getting into conflicts in houses, and cultural practices that allowed like men to have dominance over their wives or not to just respect their wives. That's something that I think I am a little passionate about.
Okay.
Yes.
And so you actually met survivors of domestic violence?
Yeah, I did. Like there's a center near where I live back home where they live, the survivors of domestic violence live. So some of the women were coming from there, and then some were just random women who were just interested in learning about what I was doing as a high school student, because people really get excited if they see someone who's in school and they're young and who's ready to hear their voices and what they've gone through. And I also wanted to learn them, so it was like a give and take. They were also helping me with my project. At the same time, they also had someone to listen to their voices. They would talk among themselves and stuff like that.
Got it, that's terrific.
Yes.
And how did you get involved with this project? Was it through your school, or was it your proximity to the center?
Well, when we were brainstorming project ideas, I kind of hinted towards wanting to do something that involved interacting with people. Then my college counselor was also my research methodologist teacher, suggested that I do something related to that. So I had to do sort of like a survey and get people who were interested to engage more. So I had to form like a WhatsApp group, and they also got their friends, and yeah, we started meeting up once every week.
That's terrific. So you led this initiative to engage with the center and do this work?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's wonderful. Switching gears, Patience, if I had a group of your friends here in this room and you weren't here, and I said, describe Patience, what do you think they'd say?
I am a very extroverted person. I talk a lot, and I cannot function like when I'm alone most of the time. Like I'm someone who like thrives in crowds when I'm working with friends. So even like in class, my high school was a boarding school, so I would have groups, study groups, where I would do work on projects and problem sets with people, and I like engaging with others. So like even with like tutoring and stuff, people feel very free to come to me because I'm someone who likes talking to people very much.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you said your high school is a 2-year program.
Yeah.
So you've been away from home for 2 years?
Yes.
Got it. Okay. And how far is that from where you live?
It's about 2 hours from home. So my high school was in Harare, the capital city of Zimbabwe, and I come from Kwekwe.
Got it. Okay. You know, I know people typically don't like to brag about themselves, but if there was one accomplishment that you're most proud of, what do you think that would be?
In my middle school, our education system is completely different from here, I noticed. So we do O levels, and then from
Did you say O levels?
Yeah, O levels.
Okay.
From
And those are exams, or?
It's like the curriculum,
I
the
see.
middle
Okay.
school curriculum.
Okay.
You get like 4 years, and then at the end of the 4 years, you have to write O levels before you can do A levels.
Okay.
So during my O levels, like the teachers in Zimbabwe were quite underpaid, so they were like striking. So like most of my teachers didn't come for classes, and I had to kind of self-study and write statistics and biology on my own. I managed to get 12 A's, so I am quite proud of myself for that.
Got it. That's terrific. What do you think is the hardest challenge that you've ever had to overcome, whether in the classroom or outside the classroom, and what did you take away from that experience?
I think it was just coming to terms with the fact that like I can't be like the best at everything. Like, I mean, I might be good at one thing that I like so much, for example, math, but at the same time, it doesn't mean that like I'm gonna be like the best at chemistry. There's always gonna be someone who does better at everything that you want to attempt. And like I was on the school's athletic team, and I was a sprinter. Since I was like in grade 6, I had been running, so I was just used to coming first. But as I like advanced to higher levels, figured that there were people who were like faster than me, and at first I would like not want to like perform in the second race when I came second or came third. Over time, I just came to terms that there's always going to be someone who's better at something that you're trying out, whether it's new or like you've been good at that for some time. You're gonna meet people who are gonna be better than you, and the only good thing to do is like try to like learn from them. Like maybe someone's like better in chemistry than you could like try to like form a study group with them or something like that. Like competition is not like always the only way out. I mean, it's good to be competitive and want to be the best at what you do, but you're not always gonna be better than others.
Sure. No, that makes sense. Okay. Terrific. Well, Patience, thank you. I feel like I've gotten a very good sense of who you are as a person.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah. Why did you choose to study at Harvard?
So it's a good question. I just felt like, much like you, I valued the liberal arts education. At your age, I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to study necessarily, so I wanted to find a school that was good in a bunch of different areas. Eventually, I ended up choosing biochemistry, but I got there in a bit of a roundabout path. I thought about economics and math, chemistry, social studies, actually. And so, you know, I valued being at a school where there were many different subjects that you could study and where the faculties were strong in all of them. Also, I was originally from New York, so I knew I didn't want to go too terribly far away. And Harvard made a lot of sense. I had friends who had gone there in the years before me, so I'd visited campus a few times, and you know, it just seemed like a great fit.
Oh, that's very interesting, exciting.
Great. Well, thank you very much. It was a pleasure to meet you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.